Have you ever felt a peace so deep that you couldn't explain where it came from? Or felt a sudden urge to help someone, as if guided by something greater? These experiences may not be coincidental. What if I told you that these are clear signs that the Holy Spirit is in you? In this video, we're going to talk about signs that we often ignore, but which show that God's own Spirit is guiding your life. How do you know that these signs are real? What do they mean? And most importantly, how do you recognize and live fully with this divine presence? Stay with me to the end, because every point I'm about to make could change the way you perceive God's love in your life and your purpose in this world. You don't want to miss this. Have you ever been in the midst of chaos and suddenly felt an inexplicable peace come over your heart? As if everything around you stopped for a moment and you were filled with the certainty that you are not alone? This stillness, which comes even in times of difficulty, is one of the ways in which the Holy Spirit manifests Himself. When God's Spirit dwells within you, it doesn't matter how big the storms around you are, because He brings serenity to the soul. It's like a gentle breeze in the scorching heat, a relief that reminds us that there is something greater holding us up. We often mistake this for our own strength, but it isn't. This peace transcends any human understanding because it doesn't come from something external, but from a divine presence within you. You may ask yourself, but how do I know it's really the Holy Spirit? The answer lies in the effect that this stillness has on your life. It not only calms your emotions, but it also changes your perspective. You begin to see problems not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities to trust God more. This peace is not the absence of challenges, but the assurance that you are supported even in difficulty. I recall stories of people who faced extremely difficult situations, loss, illness, uncertainty, and yet displayed a serenity that seemed impossible. The secret was not the absence of pain, but the presence of the Holy Spirit strengthening them. This presence doesn't need to be announced. It is simply felt, filling the deepest corners of the heart. And it is in that quiet place where doubt used to dwell that the Spirit gives birth to a new desire, something that changes the way you live and see the world. It's something that makes you want to do more for others, even when everything seems to say otherwise. When the Holy Spirit is in you, an unexpected desire arises to help, to do good, to be an instrument of transformation. It's something that goes beyond personal intentions. This desire comes naturally, like a well that never stops gushing. Even in situations where you might think only of yourself, you find room to think of others. Think of the mother who, tired after a long day, still finds the strength to care for a sick neighbor. Or the young man who shares his only loaf of bread with someone who has even less. These attitudes don't come from the ego, but from something much greater. It's the Holy Spirit at work, putting in you a compassion that can't be explained but is lived. And it's not just about great deeds. Often the desire to do good manifests itself in small things. A smile for someone who is sad, a word of encouragement for someone who has lost hope, or simply being there when someone needs you. These gestures, as simple as they may seem, carry enormous power because they come from a heart connected to the divine. But you may be thinking, I already do these things. Does that mean the Spirit is in me? The answer is in the intention. The Holy Spirit changes the purpose of our actions. We don't do good things to be recognized, but because we can't help it. It's an impulse that moves us, as if a flame burns within us, illuminating everything around us. This inner transformation changes the way we see the world and people. What once seemed insignificant takes on new value. And this desire to do good, even in silence, is like a direct reflection of the love that the Holy Spirit places in you. Out of this love come other signs, some as subtle as that first one, but just as transforming. Have you ever felt that certainty come over you without explanation? As if something inside you is telling you exactly what to do or avoid, even without clear evidence? This is one of the ways the Holy Spirit manifests itself. He acts like a silent compass, guiding your steps toward what is true and right. When the Holy Spirit is in you, these intuitions are not mere coincidences. They become frequent and precise, bringing a clarity that doesn't come from the mind, but from a wisdom that surpasses human understanding. In moments of indecision, you feel a path opening up, as if a light is illuminating the right choice. There are people who tell incredible stories of how they have avoided danger or made important decisions because of these inner impulses. A woman, for example, who felt she had to call a friend at a certain moment and discovered that he was about to give up on life. Or a father who, for no apparent reason, decides to come home early and finds his family in dire need of help. These events are not coincidences. They are responses of the Spirit at work within us. But these intuitions are not limited to important decisions. They often guide us in everyday situations, helping us to discern between right and wrong, even when the right choice seems difficult. It's as if, instead of struggling with doubt and confusion, you find a certainty that calms you and gives you direction. This wisdom that the Holy Spirit offers is not about predicting the future or having answers for everything, but about living in harmony with the truth. And it is this truth that shapes not only our decisions, but also our hearts, allowing the power of forgiveness and love to become an imprint on our lives. Have you ever faced someone who has hurt you deeply and thought, "I will never be able to forgive them"? It's a common feeling because forgiveness is something that challenges our natural instincts. But when the Holy Spirit is in you, something changes. The hurt begins to give way to a power that is not yours. It is the Spirit who places in your heart the ability to forgive and love, even when it seems impossible. Forgiveness is often thought of as a favor we do for others, but it is actually a liberation for ourselves. It's like opening the window of a dark room and letting the light in. When you allow the Holy Spirit to work in your heart, He transforms pain into learning and anger into compassion. This doesn't mean that you justify the other person's mistake, but that you choose not to carry the weight of a wound that consumes your peace. And the love the Holy Spirit awakens goes beyond feelings. It is an action, a way of life. He teaches us to look at others with different eyes, to see people's needs and pain before judging them. That's why Jesus always called us to love, even our enemies. Because this love, led by the Spirit, is a power that heals, transforms, and rebuilds. There are stories that show the power of this love. A man who, after years of abandonment by his father, chooses to care for him in his old age. A woman who, betrayed by her husband, finds in God the strength to start over with him and rebuild her family. These attitudes do not come from our human strength, but from the action of the Spirit who gives us unconditional love. And it is this love that becomes visible in our attitudes, words, and decisions. When you forgive, when you act with compassion, and when you offer love without expecting anything in return, you are manifesting one of the most powerful signs of the Holy Spirit in your life. And this strength that comes from within begins to comfort you even in the most difficult moments. At times when the pain seems unbearable and the loneliness cries the loudest, there is something that can change everything. A small voice that speaks to the heart, bringing comfort and hope. This voice is not something external. It is the Holy Spirit who whispers eternal truths within you. It is He who reminds us that we are not alone, even when everything seems to be falling apart. Often this comforting presence comes when you are at the height of your suffering. It may come through an inexplicable feeling of warmth in your chest, a word that touches you deeply as you read or listen to something, or even a memory that gives you strength. The Holy Spirit works quietly but powerfully, illuminating the darkness with a peace that the world cannot offer. Consider the story of a father who lost his son and found the strength to go on in the midst of his grief. He described how, as he prayed, he felt such a strong presence that his tears, instead of bringing more pain, calmed him. This is the work of the Holy Spirit, who envelops us like a blanket of comfort on the most difficult days. This voice that comforts us does not deny the reality of pain, but helps us to bear it. It is like an anchor that keeps us afloat even when the winds of adversity try to knock us over. This presence reminds us that life's difficulties are not the end, but part of a process of growth and transformation. And it is in this comfort that we find the strength to get back on our feet, one step at a time. With the Holy Spirit at our side, Even the darkest moments become opportunities to experience renewal. And when that renewal happens, something new begins to sprout within you, changing your words, your actions, and most importantly, the way you relate to the world around you. When the Holy Spirit is in you, your life begins to visibly change. What once seemed natural, such as reacting angrily, criticizing, or ignoring the needs of others, loses its power. In their place come words that heal and attitudes that inspire. Not because you choose to be better, but because the Spirit transforms your being from within. Imagine someone who has always been impatient but begins to respond calmly in difficult situations. Or the person who used to hold a grudge and suddenly becomes known for his ability to bring people together. These changes don't come from human effort. They are the fruit of the Holy Spirit's work shaping your heart and thoughts. Your words begin to reflect this change. They stop hurting and begin to build. Instead of criticism, there is encouragement. Where once there was silence in the face of injustice, there is now courage to speak with wisdom and compassion. And the effect is felt not only by you, but by everyone around you. And attitudes follow. Helping those in need, reaching out to those you don't even know, choosing forgiveness over revenge. All of this becomes part of who you are. Not because it's easy, but because Spirit gives you the power to live beyond the limitations of the ego. In time, these changes become so natural that you don't even realize how much you have changed. Others, however, do. They see light where there was darkness, hope where there was despair. And that light, now shining on you, begins to illuminate the lives of those who cross your path. Gradually, you realize that this transformation is only the beginning, for there is something even deeper going on. A divine wisdom that begins to guide your thoughts and decisions. There are times when you make decisions or say words that surprise even yourself. When the Holy Spirit is in you, He brings a wisdom that surpasses human understanding, a clarity that transforms even the most confusing dilemmas into clear paths. This wisdom is not the fruit of study or experience, but of a connection with the divine mind. It's like when you're called to counsel someone in crisis and suddenly find the exact words they need to hear. Or when faced with a complicated decision, an inner certainty points you in the right direction, even without logical explanations. The Holy Spirit works in silence, but His presence is evident in every unexpected solution, in every action guided by love and truth. An example of this is the story of a mother who, without knowing why, decided to spend more time with her teenage son. She later discovered that he was facing a time of great loneliness and desperately needed her presence. This wisdom that seems like intuition is actually the Spirit guiding your actions according to the divine will. This wisdom also manifests itself in the way you deal with life's challenges. What once caused fear or anxiety is now met with confidence. Not because you have all the answers, but because you know you are being guided by something greater. This gives you the assurance that even in the most difficult situations, God is in control. And as this wisdom becomes a part of you, your decisions begin to reflect a balance that inspires others. Your decisions not only benefit you, but also bring peace and harmony to those around you. And this wisdom, flowing from the Holy Spirit, fills your life with purpose, making every day an opportunity to experience true joy, even in the storms. True joy doesn't come from circumstances. It doesn't depend on accomplishments, praise, or peaceful days. When the Holy Spirit is in you, this joy becomes a constant source, even in times of pain and difficulty. It is an inner certainty, a quiet force that reminds you that even in the midst of storms, there is a reason to smile. This joy is not the same fleeting happiness the world offers. It doesn't disappear in the face of problems. On the contrary, it is in difficulties that it grows stronger. You may be facing financial, health, or emotional challenges, but there is still something in your heart that supports you and says, "Everything will be all right." That's the sign of the Holy Spirit at work in you. I remember stories of people who have lost almost everything and still have that sparkle in their eyes. A father who, after losing his job, refused to complain and chose to see it as an opportunity to grow. Or a woman who, despite a serious illness, comforted others with words of hope. This kind of joy is not natural, it's supernatural. And that joy is contagious. It not only transforms your own life, it touches those around you. People begin to realize that despite your struggles, you carry something else within you, something that inspires and encourages. And without realizing it, they too are drawn to that light. In time, you come to understand that this joy is a gift from the Holy Spirit. It is proof that God dwells within you, sustaining and guiding you. And it is this joy that allows you to look forward to each new day with hope, knowing that something greater is at work, guiding your life toward a purpose that transcends all human understanding. When the Holy Spirit dwells within you, your life becomes a reflection of God's own love. Inner peace, the strength to love and forgive, wisdom that transcends human understanding. These are all signs that the divine is alive and working within you. Don't ignore these signs. Open your heart, trust, and allow this presence to transform the world around you. For where the Spirit of God is, there is freedom, there is life, and there is the certainty that you are never alone. May you always be light. Stay with God,